letting us hang out with you for a little bit here before a game. You're doing the IU game tonight, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. It's always good to be back home, so to speak.
Yeah, close enough.
Close enough,
right.
In the vicinity.
So you're born and raised in Evansville,
yep.
But now you're out and about throughout the country, right?
Yeah, went to Harrison High School, Plaza Middle School, Hebron Elementary School. My mom's from Evansville. My dad's from New York.
Oh, wow.
But they met in New York, and for love, he moved from New York City to Evansville, Indiana.
Wow.
That is love.
Raised me and my 3 older siblings there. We all went to Harrison, which is where my mom went. And then my parents actually moved because of my dad's job to Texas when I was the youngest of 4 when I graduated. So since then, I've bounced around a lot, and my grandparents have passed away who lived in Evansville. So my reasons to get there and eat the donut bank and eat Toroni's, they've gone down a little bit. But I say this a lot, and I mean it. My heart's always in Evansville. The older that I get, and you look back on it, Evansville's a great place to grow up. It's a great place to be from.
Like a lot of times I'll say I'm mad at the guests because they have a better voice than me. But I don't think it's ever been more appropriate than today because he gets paid to talk. Literally gets paid to talk.
Like he has your main job, no one sees your face.
That's right. They don't need to see my face. Yeah, no. Occasionally on the TV they show you at the beginning and then at halftime. Right. But I'm fine with nobody seeing me.
You at the halftime where you're talking, you have to talk about your talking points and you're like looking at the camera and not at the person next to you.
Yeah.
Because usually you probably want to make eye contact.
Right. It's got to be conversational, but you got to acknowledge the camera because you want to talk to the people at home. So I like when our face isn't on there. I like that a lot better.
So before we get heavy into what you're doing now, I guess, so what from a professional standpoint, where have you been since Evansville?
Yeah,
Let's go through the CV.
Went to Butler. We'll go through the CV. I went to Butler. When I was in Evansville at Harrison, my sophomore year of high school, I said, "Gosh, I want to broadcast baseball." I grew up loving the Atlanta Braves and going to all the Aces games. Loved sports, and I started to listen to the broadcasters and really take a liking to it. So, sophomore year of high school, I talked to my chemistry teacher at Harrison and said, "Is there a local high school radio station that might let me broadcast some games?" And he helped me out. We went to the 90.7 WPSR, the public student radio station that's out at Central. And they agreed. They said, "Yeah, sure, if you want to broadcast some games, go do it. We'll give you our signal." And so I broadcasted some Harrison games, loved it, and went to school for it. Got out, first day out of Butler, I went out and made $500 a month for the Orem Owl Single A affiliate just south of Salt Lake City, Utah. Nice. And rode the 13-hour bus trips and 76 games in 80 days and $500 a month living in the basement of a couple of Mormon guys out in Provo, Utah, there in Mecca. Paid $100 a month to rent a room. Ate peanut butter and jelly. But I got done with that summer, and I said, I like this. I want to keep doing this. So I had stops. I was at the University of Evansville for a couple years when Marty Simmons was there. Had a blast with that. Then went to Butler. Then went to Georgia Tech. It's kind of the voice of the school on radio. And then I had a random, unique opportunity to do TV for the Big Ten Network under their Fox umbrella and also do some play-by-play, oddly enough, for the Madden video game. So I've kind of taken that jump from just the radio side now into these new opportunities, and thankfully it's worked out well.
So how did the Madden thing? So how did that happen? I guess they find you?
So random. So Jim Nance and Phil Simms used to do it, and their contract was up. They had been doing it for 5 years, so they went on a nationwide search to find a new voices for the video game. And they reached out to me randomly, just as a dark horse candidate. One of the producers on the game had heard one of my calls at Butler that got picked up by ESPN and played. And thankfully, for some reason, my voice and name resonated with him, and he remembered. So when they were doing a search at EA, they just said, well, let's bring in this Brandon guy that nobody's heard of and give him an audition. And I didn't think anything of it. I went down there and I was excited. I auditioned and I thought it went well, but I figured, they're bringing in some heavy hitters. I don't know that this is going to work out. And then lo and behold, and this is now 2.5 years ago, they called me and said, "Would you want to do it?" I was like, yeah, please. So, it's one of those things, again, where someone luckily enough found me, remembered my name, and I went down and auditioned, and it went well. So I say this a lot, but it's true. I mean, I just feel very lucky to be able to do that.
Were you a Madden player before?
When I was younger,
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
last 10 years since college,
Sure.
it's one of those things where, you play video games growing up, you get outside of college, you're like, well, I probably shouldn't be doing this. And I'm like, all right, I'm 30 now. I can't keep playing video games. So, but now obviously I'm back into it a little bit. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the things with video games. I've always heard that it sounds like it's the coolest thing ever to do that, but then when you get into actually making it, it's really hard work. It's like a lot harder than people probably think, right?
It's strange because people assume that when they're listening to the video game and your voice on it, that everything is just one fluid paragraph and sentence like when you are watching a game on TV, but it's not. Like we call it stitching, so we record 6 to 10 second lines that all then play back to back to back to back. And the hope is that it sounds like one sentence, two sentences, three sentences that were recorded on the same day. In actuality, it's lines that were recorded months apart that they're putting together. So you really have to, and there's a producer in there to make sure, but you really have to keep your voice consistent. Because if not, you remember the old video games, touchdown by the Raiders. You can't have that happen.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
So you will, if you take a play, like Andrew Luck drops to pass, looks to the right, throws, and it's caught. It's T.Y. Hilton. Pick up a 15 yards. Everywhere that I pause is a different line on a different day, and then they put it all together, and they hope that it sounds like one cohesive line.
And
so
somebody's literally worried about continuity, and would they tell you to say that again?
Yeah. So
someone is aware of your voice. That's their job.
They're in there. There's a producer,
That's
and engineer, and just kind of watching the levels and making sure that everything goes together. So it is much more difficult than I had envisioned. It's been a fun challenge. I think the most frustrating thing for me with the video game is that some people who have never heard me broadcast before listen to that and they're like, oh, this guy sounds robotic-y and not very good, but it's not really at all like you actually call a game like I'm going to call tonight. So on some level there's some disappointment there because I hear the game like, shoot, this doesn't sound like, I got to remember it's just a video game. Yeah.
So do you read the message boards and see how people are taking you? Are you out on that?
On Twitter, you'll get messages on Twitter. Right. That's where you get them.
Oh, yeah, and you can't avoid it. You're like, oh, man, I shouldn't.
Yeah, like, dude, I scored a game-winning touchdown and you weren't excited. I was like, I was just reading the script. This is from December last year. Like, what do you? So there's some frustration there, but all in all, I think it's been received well. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
I know my son just got the newest one for Christmas. So
okay.
We'll be amping that up a lot pretty soon.
Don't judge me too hard.
A little bit. I'll let you know.
So on the game, you're with Charles Davis?
Yes.
And do you guys do this together?
Yep.
So you do at least splice them together. It's not where he goes and does his.
No.
So when you're actually conversing on the game, some of that's natural?
That's natural. What we call two-man days where both of us are in there. That is natural, and we are together. Charles doesn't record any lines without me there because they want it to sound natural back and forth.
I see.
I do have a lot of the play-by-play lines where there's no need for him to be there.
Gotcha.
That I am solo. He lives in Orlando, so Charles is the number. So Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are the number 1 team on Fox NFL.
Right.
Charles Davis and Kevin Burkhardt are the number 2 team on Fox in the NFL. So that's his role in real life. And then for the video game, he actually lives in Orlando, which is where the Madden studio is. So it's it's a 20-minute drive for him. So it's great. I fly in from Orlando every Monday morning, and he drives up from his house, and we get in there and do it.
You have to keep up with the
that's
stuff,
the crazy thing. You know, when you
guys. So
guys,
that's how it's different than it used to be.
Yeah, that's different. You know, you guys and me, we were growing up with video games. You play Tecmo Super Bowl or whatever. There's 5 audio lines, and you're not connected to the internet getting updates. So it's A and B and start and select, and that's it.
Yeah, you're good.
But now everybody's console is connected to the internet, so we send out commentary updates every Tuesday morning. You turn on your machine, it says there's updates. You press start, it downloads them. And then when Andrew Luck, well, not this year because he's hurt, but a quarterback runs out on the field, we're talking about what they did last week in the game.
A handsome new quarterback.
A handsome, great-looking 49er quarterback. Jimmy G.
Jimmy G, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was going to press on Jimmy G.
Are you a 49er?
Oh, yeah.
fan?
Hell yeah. This is
all right, so how does
been a great 4 weeks.
How does a boy from Evansville become a 49er?
You know, I didn't really have a football team. My parents didn't really watch, and the Colts were newish when we were young.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't have a. I don't know. I think I fell in love with like the Montana Young thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Helps that they
most
were good, right?
bandwagon thing I've ever done.
Winning Super Bowls.
That was Steve Young is my favorite athlete of all time. I
Yeah.
love Steve Young.
Yeah.
So I think that's what led to all that. But yeah, now I've got like Jimmy Garoppolo.
You've got hope
like
now. You're gonna be
my
resurrected.
profile picture on Facebook. I mean, it's getting awkward how much I've read and watched this guy speak on it.
Isn't it kind of frustrating though how those quarterbacks like he and Brady and Rodgers, like they're always the best looking dudes on the team. Like they got everything.
Yeah. Well,
Come on.
maybe there's something to it. Maybe it's
ugly.
Maybe that there's no need. There's no lack of confidence when you look that good.
Right.
What's
You can do whatever.
the worst that can happen?
I guess so. Yeah.
So okay.
You're
So
saying ugly
speaking
quarterbacks
of,
are actually better than the.
no, I'm saying good-looking quarterbacks would.
Because they're
But
so
I'm saying, like,
confident.
Yeah.
if a quarterback makes it to the.
Oh, like if you're ugly
If you're
and good,
ugly and you make it to
yeah,
the
you got to
pros,
be
then
really
you're
good.
Really good. Okay. I guess.
So going back to that, so like, talking about how you have updated each week. So is that, do you get a script?
Yes.
So none of that is just you freelancing things.
There,
to talk
well,
about.
you get bullet points on the script.
So you can
will-
present it however you wish.
you present it however you want. So specifically with those updates, there's a lot of improvising because you'll have on a sheet Brady was 22 for 27, 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then you kind of craft that into your own words. Now they'll also maybe put on there he's thrown 12 touchdowns, no interceptions the last 3 weeks. So they'll give you a couple bullets as talking points to go back and forth, and then you just kind of make it your own.
And is it difficult to fit, like in real life? Like so tonight you're doing the IU game. You have those same stats like normal.
Yeah.
You mix them in as the game's going on. So a guy hits a big three, you might bring up what he's done the last few games hitting threes.
Yeah.
But you're not actually watching a game.
Right. So
how, is it difficult?
So for the updates, it's actually easier because
really?
I've got that stuff in front of me, and I don't have to worry about anything going on in front of me.
I see.
You know, if Juwan Morgan hits a big shot tonight, I'm talking about his last game, and I'm looking down at my sheet to talk about that. Oh, shoot. Well, there's a turnover. Now IU's getting a dunk, and I need to acknowledge that. Whereas with Madden, I'm just focusing on these few bullet points. So that's actually a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like with the prep for like tonight, if when Youngstown State's coming in, you've got to know all the players
Yep.
and like who can do what.
Yep.
Is there like do you do a lot of video prep
Yep.
for that?
So I
So
always,
what is today? Yeah, I guess it's good. What does today consist of for
Yeah,
you?
so the last 2 days went back and I watched Youngstown State's last 2 games.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Indiana because I've had 4 Indiana games, so I've seen quite a bit of them. And I had their game on the 18th. But I go back, watch Youngstown State's last 2 games. That's mainly so that I have memorized their players and their rotation. So that I don't need to look up and down. Oh, zeros Robinson, 31, you know.
Right.
And then I write down on each player. You know, you call them your spotting boards that are in front of you during a game. Basically, it's like in school when a teacher had an open book test, said you can fit everything you want on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
Sure.
That's basically what it's like tonight. I've got one of those for each team, and then I've got a little chart of storylines that I want to get in.
Okay.
I use inconsistencies. I use turnovers and losses versus their turnovers and wins, which is a big difference. Both of these teams are horrible three-point shooting teams. So you have all of that, and then the day of the game, each team has a shoot-around, which is just a light practice where they go over their prep. So I just went to Youngstown State, so I'm finished with them. IU's is coming up here at 3 o'clock. I'll go to that, make sure I talk to Archie Miller, get any nuggets I need to get in, and then put on the suit and tie and roll back over there for an 8 o'clock tip.
And then out tomorrow, and then
Out
do it all
tomorrow.
again for a different sport.
Yep. I've got on radio. I've got Detroit and Green Bay up in Detroit New Year's Eve. Which actually, you know, when I got the assignment, I was like, "Oh, this should be a great game." It should be, you know, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford.
Sure, sounds great. Playoff
And
implications.
now there are no playoff implications.
And
This
2
game
degrees.
sucks. Yeah, and then I've got Purdue starting Big Ten play on January 3rd in West Lafayette. So, and I grew up in a house divided. Half my family went to IU, half went to Purdue. So it's kind of fun to hear the family
see.
jaw back and forth as I go back and
With
forth.
sports being your career now, do you like it more? Do you like it less? Is it you know? 'Cause sometimes it can be just a job, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I love sports. I compartmentalize. What I mean by that is when I go home, like I like to unwind with like a Seinfeld episode or something, whereas most people might be turning on a random bowl game.
Right.
Like I can do that. I'm not angry about it. I can watch a random football game right now, but with all the sports going on, I'm like, you know what? I'd just rather watch a Seinfeld episode.
And then part of this, okay, so you're one of the few people that actually have a Wikipedia that I get to talk to. So this is kind of it's rare. But
Maybe my mom created that page.
Maybe. But one of the things that said you were political science.
Oh, I was, yeah. I majored in political science. I did communications and poli-sci at Butler. Yeah.
So would people usually like say unwind for sports? Maybe is politics your unwinding?
I get a little frustrated in the political scene, as we all do for various reasons. So I get nauseous watching. I don't think anyone's happy CNN or I get nauseous watching those. So I like to unwind with just mindless stuff.
I didn't know if that was maybe your sports is politics or something.
No, I do like politics, and I tried to do that just to be more well-rounded.
Okay.
And to be honest, because a lot of the classes overlap with my communications major, I was like, I could just take 4 more classes and be a double major.
There you go. That's very impressive.
Yeah. I also just watched Saved by the Bell this morning, by the way. I know you guys remember that show, right?
That show.
Yeah.
So right now, Funny or Die is doing these little clips called Zach Morris's Trash.
Oh, yeah?
And they're amazing. They just go through whole episodes and point out why Zach Morris is trash.
I haven't seen this, and I feel like I need to see it. So they're making
They do
fun.
one a week.
They're making fun of
Mark
Paul
literally
Gosselaar.
go through a whole episode and explain why Zach is the worst person in the world.
You know what episode was on this morning? You guys remember when Jesse gets hooked on caffeine?
Oh, yeah.
I'm so
they
excited.
do that episode.
I'm so scared.
Yeah, they do that episode.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to check that out.
I think we should just talk about Saved by the Bell the rest of the
I
time.
know.
It's the Saved by the Bell podcast.
Don't get me
It's the
going
Saved
on
by the
Saved
Fan
Don't get me
podcast.
going on Saved by the
Finally,
Bell.
my people.
That was classic. Man, that was classic.
Oh, my God. So, I guess, so going back a little bit, so you got TV tonight.
Yep.
Radio tomorrow.
Yep.
How do those differ for you?
Very different. So radio is more tiring because you are talking as a play-by-play guy so much as you have to describe everything.
Sure.
Whereas on TV, the analyst does more of the work. So TV's challenge is that you have to set up the analyst, put him in the right spots. But also, you've got to realize, like I was saying earlier, if I'm talking about something, make sure it flows what's going on in the game. If I'm talking about Juwan Morgan's last 6 games and then IU gets 2 turnovers and dunks twice, well, hold on. Let's start and talk about that now. So that's the challenge on TV, is that there's someone in your ear talking the whole time. You got to worry about the analyst, what's going on. You also have to follow the monitor. You know, I don't want to be talking about Archie Miller if they're showing the other team's coach. So there's just more to pay attention to, whereas with radio, you're more tired because you just talk so much more and you talk fast and you describe everything that's going on. But radio, you also don't have to think as much. It's just reactionary. You just see it and talk about it. I don't have to worry about what's on the monitor. No one's yelling in my ear to tell me that we're going to a break and here's what's going to happen going into break. So there are different challenges, but I would say radio is probably a little bit easier. But they're different. They're different.
And even probably inside the sport.
Yeah.
So like football radio is probably not as much talking as basketball radio.
Right. But interestingly enough, you say more words per minute in basketball because when the ball is being bounced around so quickly, you're go, 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 go. Whereas football, okay, they're in the huddle, they go up to the line, you've got some time, and really your action comes in those 5-second bursts of the play. Whereas with basketball, you could have 2 minutes of back and forth where you're going the whole time.
So then what do you, I'm sure you like anything that's, keeping you employed, but like what are your favorites? Like what is baseball
So I grew up loving baseball. I mentioned I grew up a Braves fan. Like this is how lame I was as a kid. I took a rubber balloon, I wrapped a piece of Scotch tape around it, took the inside of a paper towel holder, and that was my bat and ball. And at 5 years old, I would go into the family's small little living room area, and I would hit that and act like I was announcing the games, and I would set up the pillows as bases. So obviously I had a lot of friends growing up. So because of that, though, just doing that, baseball was my first love. So I just figured I'll stay in baseball. I like to go to the major leagues. And then the opportunity to do basketball came along. And basketball was always my favorite sport to play. Baseball was my favorite to watch, basketball to play. And then, football's just become such a behemoth in our lifetime. Like, football was big when we were growing up. But in the last 15 years, I mean, it is just another level. So that's kind of the breadwinner. You have to, as a play-by-play person, be able to do football, or you're not going to be able to do anything because they want to know that you can do all 3 sports. So but I'm not just saying this to be politically correct. Like I like them all. Football, there's something about when you're in a stadium with 80,000 people and those teams run out from the tunnel. It's hard to match that feeling in the other sports. It just is. Even tonight at IU, it's an awesome atmosphere. But you're talking 17,000 people, so it's just a different feel than it is with football.
So I led you with that question to ask you, so what is dream gig?
I don't know.
Brandon Gaudin dream gig.
I I really don't know. Like, I feel so. I just turned 34, and I feel like I've been really lucky. Like, I love when I did the team radio play-by-play. That was a blast because you get to travel around with the team, know the guys, know the coaches. So when I was at Evansville and then Butler and Georgia Tech, it's like, I can see myself doing this for a long time. But when the TV opportunity came along, I thought everything is going towards TV. So I better try this or I might regret it down the road. And I have really grown to like it. So now that I'm in the TV world, and I've got this weird gig that I never thought would come along with Madden.
Right.
I really don't know what I see as the future, because certainly the Madden thing is going to run its course. Like, they change out the voice on that game. I'm not going to probably be doing that in 30 years.
They'll rename it to you instead of...
It won't be Matt, it'll be
right.
Gaudin football. Gaudin NFL.
And sales will plummet. Yeah. So, obviously people always say, do you want to go to ESPN? Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm under the Fox umbrella now, and like the people have been awesome, and I get to do games on Fox Sports 1, 2 for the Big East package. Yeah. So I feel like I'm in a good situation, and it might be a cop-out answer, but I don't know what the dream job is.
If not gig, how about event?
I mean, it would obviously be great to do the Super Bowl. I would love to do the Super Bowl. Now, if you had asked me 15 years ago, I would have said, Game 7 of the World Series.
Sure.
Still not bad. I was lucky to do a Final Four on the radio side of things because I was at Butler.
Yeah, that's what
that second year. So I missed the first year. Remember when they threw up the half-court shot?
So Gordon Hayward.
I wasn't there for that. I was in the stands for that.
So you saw the game where everybody shot 20%?
Yes, against UConn.
That's pretty bad.
But I always say if that shot from Gordon Hayward would have gone in to beat Duke, I wouldn't be here right now because I would have been in a ditch that night. Because I went to Butler. I'm in the crowd. I was 20 rows up, and nothing was keeping me off that floor if that shot had gone in. And then who knows what would have happened after the game. So probably a good thing that shot didn't go in.
Yeah. As a Duke fan, I agree.
But, you're a Duke fan.
Well, anyways.
Man, we got a Duke fan. We got a Kentucky fan.
Cheered in Evansville for Duke against
I had a Duke hat and a Duke shirt and a UV hat. It's fine. It's fine. It is what it is.
So
we brought that up at the end. That way you wouldn't leave the interview early.
That's right.
Oh, do you have any... I may be completely off on my research here, but do you have any good stories about calling UE men's soccer with Dr. James MacLeod?
How do you know him?
He was on the podcast.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
That dude's awesome.
He is amazing.
So what I love doing the soccer games with him about his voice, man.
Yes.
Like, you hear him talk.
Oh, gosh.
They always say in other parts of the world people want to hear an American accent. American accents suck. Like, I want to hear that dude talk.
Dude is awesome.
That Scottish accent.
Yes.
He's the nicest man. Yeah, soccer, first of all, like, who's listening to those games besides my mother, maybe? We had a blast.
Well, she's working on your Wikipedia.
Right. Yeah, I was doing the Evansville basketball games. Like, you want to do some soccer? Sure. And then I found out I was doing it with Dr. MacLeod. Done. Give me that accent from across the pond, and we're in. We're gold.
Yeah, I want him. Yeah, I'm thinking about kicking Cory off the Coryspondent.
That's fine. I'd rather listen to that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Any other interesting things? Any exclusive podcast stories we can know?
No, I mean, gosh, I love the story of my first year in broadcasting when I was out at with the Orem Owls, and we're on a long bus trip to go play the Idaho Falls Chuckers, and it's 3 a.m. and you drive. It's kind of really stereotypical. You drive like an old rickshaw bus to get to these places. There's no money. What's sidebar is, you got like a first-round draft pick that just signed for a couple million.
Right.
And then you got the 30-year-old who's just hoping to make it. Dude's making $1,000 a month. I'm making $500 a month. Your per diem's $10. You eat at Hardee's. So it's an interesting dynamic. But anyways, so we're on this old bus. We're going north on I-15. And 3 a.m, everyone's sleeping. I'm sleeping next to the starting pitcher who's taking up my seat. And all of a sudden, this dude, Tyler Johnson, from the back starts screaming, "Stop the bus, stop the bus." Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Bus driver. The cargo door had popped open, and 90% of the team's bags had just been falling out on Interstate 15. So it's 3 a.m, the bus driver screeches to a halt, pulls over to the side, and we are all out of a dead sleep just trying to walk back and dodge cars on the interstate to pick up these bags. But half the guys lost their stuff. There were baseballs and bats and jerseys. So the next day we go to play Idaho Falls. Half the guys don't have their uniform. Half the guys don't have their uniform. So those are the, you look back on that as you get further removed, and those are the things like, that was a pretty cool time. Yeah, you're not making any money. You're going on long bus trips, but I got a lot of stories from that.
Sure.
That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know you got a lot of stuff to do today, so
Yeah.
we don't want to.
Yeah, it's freezing outside, so I'm staying in.
Go get some more very good
Get a
soup
nap
or
in.
something.
You guys went to the Crazy Horse, right?
We went
Crazy
to
Horse, yeah.
Little lunch.
Probably,
Yeah, that's where we went. Yeah.
probably hit some kind of brewery.
Some
Go
sort
to
of-
Nick's. You got to go to Nick's.
Sink the
pregame.
biz before the game.
Why not, man?
Yeah.
Warm
get
up.
crazy.
Get the body temperature up a little bit.
That's right. That's right.
There you go.
All right, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No, it was good to see you
Enjoyed
guys.
it. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
We'll be cheering for you, listening to you. So, yeah, when you do the Super Bowl, we'll be like, it's podcast bump. The podcast bump.
I mean, it's really, we were just waiting.
All right, man. We'll appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
See ya.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good job, everybody.